everyone. We finished up a public hearing this morning, so it's good to do from the morning, and then welcome to those of you who joined us then. Oh. Thank you for reminding me. You think I would have practice with the public hearing that I was just talking about happening this morning. So thank you very much to everyone who's here today for our meeting. We'll go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Bonnie. Bonnie Bills. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, commissioners should have received the minutes in their commission packets. Does anyone have any questions, comments on the minutes?
They read like poetry. I'd move approval.
All right.
I'll second.
Commissioner Parrish, with extra energy, moves to approve, and I heard that it was seconded by Commissioner Tui. Is there any discussion to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, move that approval of the minutes carries. Next on the agenda, we've got a couple of announcements. Upcoming meeting schedule. Targeting Tuesday, October 25th and Tuesday, November 29th. Note that is subject to change, but that is what we'll plan on. And then commissioners, we do have the staff working with you to see what your availability looks like in the new year to potentially start pushing commission meetings a little bit later into the week, but just to be determined based on your feedback. And we wouldn't make any major change until the beginning of the new year. Item 4B, Open and Public Meetings Act training. Commissioners, as chair, I'm required to ensure that you all complete Open and Public Meetings Act training on an annual basis. And so I have asked Vicki to send out a virtual training to you sometime this week. So watch out for that in your inboxes. It's something that our state auditor puts out. At the end of that training, once you complete the training, there's a certificate. And so if you can complete the training and then return the certificate to Vicki, we will count that as the training for the year. Let me or Vicki know if you have any questions. 4C, public comments. If anyone wishes to make comment virtually for this meeting, they may email hotline@utah.gov. We can also take in-person comment at the end of the meeting as time allows. And so again, virtually hotline@utah.gov, and we will save all public comment to the end of the meeting. We've got a holiday closure on Monday, October 10th. So all liquor stores and DABS administrative offices and warehouses will be, the offices and warehouse will be closed. And then finally, I'm actually going to ask, and Director Clayson, I didn't give you a heads up on this, but can you give a quick overview of the license renewal timing?
Yeah, set for Friday, September 30th, 2022. That is the deadline for any of the licensees that need to pay their fees to officially file all renewal materials for the following license types. We have full service restaurants, limited service restaurants, banquet catering, reception center licenses, airport lounges, hotel licenses, hospitality amenity, resorts, and licensed as a restaurant. So any existing licensees please just be mindful of that deadline. That is a non-flexible, non-movable deadline. And so we do want to make sure that those have been filed and that those fees have been paid by close of business Friday, September 30th. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Director Clayson. Next, Financial Officer Sean Wilford. Wilford, can you please give us the financial update? I believe that commissioners have those materials in your packet. Tell us the highlights. What do we need to know, Sean?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, commissioners. August 2022 retail sales of $41.9 million were $1.7 million lower, or a 3.9% decline as compared to July, the prior month. But this August sales were $2.2 million higher than last year. which is a 5.4% increase. But year to date, this year, our revenues are only 0.7 higher than both of those months combined last year. Bottle sales are actually down by 94.4 thousand as compared to the same time last year. This fiscal year's return to the general fund year to date, we've projected at about 21.9 million so far. Despite higher costs, that's about 300,000 higher than the prior year. The main drivers to some of these increased costs are increased wages and benefits costs, transportation, shipping, and which includes, fuel surcharges to both our, transportation to both our warehouse, our 50 state liquor stores and independent package agencies. Another one of those higher cost credit card fees, also maintenance and repair of warehouse and other operations equipment. And that concludes my report, unless the commissioners have anything they'd like to ask.
Great. Thank you, Sean. Before opening it up to questions from the commission, I just wanted to give Commissioner Parrish the chance to add any comments he'd like. He and the operations committee review the financials in detail.
We have none. We reviewed it in our operations subcommittee, and we feel very confident that we're being well managed and in good hands.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Parrish. Are there any questions from the commission? All right. Thanks, Sean, for your work on this. And I'll just echo Commissioner Parrish's gratitude for the work you do.
Thank
All
you.
right. Next, we've got Doug Murakami here to give us our Parents Empowered update.
Thank you,
Doug, for
Chair.
being here.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just for your information, Parents Empowered is currently preparing their annual report. We, by statute, have to report to the Utah Substance Use and Mental Health Advisory Council in October. And I will not be at the October meeting. However, I'll make sure that we get you a copy of that report next month for sure. For this month, though, we did put together a short video clip. It's about our community partnership projects. Every year we do about 14 or so projects within the community. And then just by way of background, these projects, we just engage with the local community coalitions that are throughout Utah. And we sit down with them, strategize how we can best message underage drinking prevention in their communities. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to play this quick clip and talk about these community partnership projects.
Great. We'd love to see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight, Salt Lake County is teaming up with Parents Empowered to try and combat underage drinking in our community.
In Kearns, they're encouraging families to come together, offering bilingual cooking classes.
Parents are the #1 reason why our kids don't drink. Why cooking? We eat every day, so why waste the time? We can take advantage of the time, sit with our families.
Today we're going to be making a really refreshing and nutritious jicama and orange salad.
Hoy vamos a preparar unos deliciosos huevos rancheros.
The main reason, the main goal is that we can spend time and not just waste the time to sit down, but we can talk to our kids, we can talk to as a family and let the kids know, #1, what are the rules, and #2, what are the expectations.
It's actually statistically showing that kids that eat dinner with their families 5 days a week are 33% less likely to drink alcohol underage.
to the Sequest Aquarium, and they are going to be doing a fun little scavenger hunt. Yeah? Tell us about it.
So we've partnered with Sequest, and we have this little activity book that has a scavenger hunt. We've put clues all throughout the aquarium, and the clues help create discourse and a conversation that parents can have with their kids about underage drinking and creating boundaries and, you know, that bonding. And so that if they find all the clues at the end, they get a prize.
So we're in a spot where Utah is in really a good place. I think the way we distribute alcohol makes a lot of sense. It supplies value to a lot of really good programs we run in the state of Utah, and we can run programs like this or assist in this because we have a fund to work with.
Well, Senator Stevenson, thank you for all that you do to really, you know, bring the families together and keep those kids from underage drinking.
As we take time to bond with our kids, such as coming to visit this awesome aquarium here, spending 10 to 15 minutes a day is kind of a rule of thumb. We like to say for parents to get into their child's world, ask them questions about things they're interested in. Then they're going to be more interested when we want to share clear rules with them about underage drinking and why that's important.
Data from the Utah Student Health and Risk Prevention Survey says 47% of Tooele children who drink alcohol often do so with their parents' permission.
And because of that, Tooele officials are hoping to change that number.
The City Library, along with the groups Tooele Communities That Care and Parents Empowered, put together a free escape room to talk about that issue. Right now, families have 15 minutes to work through all the clues they're given that educate their families about underage drinking and escape from Dr. Borg's lab.
From an early age, we teach children not to run out in the road and get hit by a car. So let's understand about the negative effects of alcohol on the brains of our youth.
The group North Davis Communities That Care and Parents Empowered have brought together 14 community partners to support the prevention of underage drinking. Messages center on protecting children's futures. They'll be found on 225 public safety and construction vehicles. The signs are in both Spanish and English.
Having the parents be able to talk to their children about the risk of underage drinking helps us be able to prevent that and helps them grow up with healthy minds and just be able to not have the addiction that can come with underage drinking.
Okay, it's good to see Senator Stevenson supporting his local community coalition, so appreciate that. Anyhow, thank you, commissioners. This concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Doug. It was actually fun to see some places I recognized and some really neat work that you're doing. Thank you. Okay, so moving on from a really enjoyable part of our meeting in the Parents Empowered update to part of my meeting or part of the meeting that I do not enjoy at all. Let's look at the violations and the consent calendar. Erin, can you share whatever we need to know about the consent calendar?
Good morning, commissioners. Please strike number 18. Otherwise, 1 through 23 are ready for consent to the settlement agreements in place. The licensees are also here if you have any additional questions.
Great. Aaron, thank you so much for the work that you do. I'm putting this information together for us. So with the consent calendar, we consider these items as a block with one vote unless any of the commissioners request that any of the items be removed for individual discussion. Would the commission like any items to be removed?
I'd like to see us remove items 5, 6, 9, and 22.
Right, Commissioner Jacobson has requested that we remove 5, 6, 9, and 20. Is that correct? 22. Okay. Are there any other items that any of the other commissioners would like to be removed for individual discussion? Okay, so before moving on to those items, let's go ahead and consider the remaining items on the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve them?
I would move that we approve items 1 through 23 with the exceptions of items 5, 6, 9, and 23, and striking item number 18.
Okay. Jacobson is moved. Seconded by Commissioner Orton.
Can I make a point of clarification? Commissioner Jacobson, did you mean to remove item 22 instead of 23?
Yes, the hive.
Okay.
And Commissioner Orton, is that you're seconding that clarified motion? Any discussion to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, I'll move that the consent calendar has been approved as specified by Commissioner Jacobson. So let's go ahead and look at these that the commission has requested we take an individual look at. So item number 5 is Red 8 Asian Bistro and Sushi. So can we just hear from staff what this violation is and what the proposed fine and penalties are?
Okay, for Red 8, number 5, it was a sale to a minor, an untrained server, and no ID badge. A 5-day suspension for the sale to minor plus costs, and for the untrained server, a fine of $200, and then for the no ID badge, that's a written warning.
Thank you, Aaron.
See the suspension on there.
Commissioner Jacobson, could you repeat that question?
Yeah, I don't see the suspension on number 5.
So 5-day suspension from, and their proposed dates are October 2nd through October 7th.
That's Porky's, right?
For Red 8.
Oh,
You're looking at number 6.
These are numbered differently.
Oh,
The-
they're numbered differently.
the calendar consent item. So we need to look at Red 8 Asian Bistro, which is actually item number 6 in the table that we have. We'll continue to refer to the numbers that are in the agenda because we,
Okay.
the motion.
I have to amend my motion then it was to remove items 4, 5, 9, and 23.
I think we need,
It's
Yeah.
because triple stop was moved from
Yeah.
the top of the consent calendar to the commission action.
I think I need the AG's advice on how to handle that because we've had a motion, it was seconded, it was passed. So technically,
Move to reconsider is what we would do.
is that what we do?
I would
Okay.
move to reconsider the prior motion, since I was the maker of it, to change the items that are to be removed from the consent calendar to be items number 4, 5, 9, and 22.
And I'll second that again.
Okay. Commissioner Jacobson, can I have you actually read the names that we're pulling off
Sure.
in that?
We're going to pull off Porky's Cantina, Red 8 Asian Bistro and Sushi. Number 9 is VFW 2586. Number 9 is 3586, I'm sorry. And number 22 is the Hive 435 Tap House.
All right, thank you. That motion has been seconded. Do we need to do a separate motion to reconsider and then, or can we do it all in one? Okay, great. So
Do it all in one.
okay, so that's been moved seconded. Any discussion to the motion? All right, all in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? All right. Thanks for that clarification. So let's go back then and look at Porky's Cantina. And it says Porky's Carnitas on our matrix.
Porky's Carnitas, it says on the other. Yes. I see a sale to minor and an untrained server, right?
That's correct.
Okay. My question is with regard to both Porky's and Red 8 Asian, we have two untrained servers. And that seems to me to be something that really shouldn't be slipping through the cracks. I'd like to ask questions of the proprietors, of the licensees of both of those. Why do you have an untrained server in the position where they're serving alcohol or close to the service of alcohol?
I believe a representative from Porky's is here.
The untrained server is on.
Great. We have a representative from, well, first, will you please welcome? Thank you. Will you please state your name and then clarify the name of your business? We have Porky's Carnitas and Porky's Cantina. Okay, thank you. And your name?
Ramon
Ramon, and your last name?
Ramirez.
Okay, Mr. Ramirez, thank you. Commissioner Jacobson, let's direct that question towards Mr. Ramirez. How can you give us some context for this untrained server? How does this happen that you have an untrained server?
¿Habla español? Oh, sorry, no hablo mucho inglés.
Yeah. Do we have language support?
Do we have someone who can translate for him?
Maybe Mr. Ramirez, just thank you for joining us. Go ahead and just stick around for just a minute, and I'll just ask staff because I know that you do a little bit of a Mr. Ramirez. Just no worries. Yeah, just come, just stand up. Thank you. Just while we just thank you. Just ask staff again. Yeah, again, we don't have
Okay, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah, thank you, Commissioner. She was just providing a little bit of clarification. I've just asked Mr. Ramirez just to stay up while we ask staff a little bit about this particular violation. Staff, do you have any context in or the AG in the research on this, on how we get to an untrained server?
I don't know.
Okay.
If we have no context, what I would suggest we do is that we would continue this for a month and arrange between Mr. Ramirez and the department to get a translator in here so we can find out exactly what happened.
Yeah. How does the commission feel about that?
Commissioner, I might have some context, not with respect to this particular licensee, but there are provisions in 32B that give a licensee up to 30 days to have their staff trained. And I think that's confusing because then there's a provision in, I believe, 62A, I don't have it right off the top of my head, that makes it very clear that the actual licensee can be held responsible and may not allow any untrained servers to actually work with alcohol. So while you could have an employee on your books and on your premises working for the first 30 days, they cannot be working with respect to alcohol. They could be performing other duties.
I think that's helpful context. And I think that Commissioner Jacobson's recommendation is something that I support. Before we actually look for, I don't know if we need an actual motion on that, but before I go there, just really quick, we see that the employee is handled as a separate matter. Is there any detail on that?
So the employee was terminated, and so the only option he has is to pay the fine. So he paid the $200 fine.
Okay, thank you. So just
a standard offer.
Okay, thank you. So termination of the employee with the fine. Is that right? Perfect. Okay, thank you. Do we need to have a motion to leave this? I think we just leave it. I don't think we have to do anything. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Ramirez, we'll have staff be in touch with you to talk through kind of what we need for next month.
So are you going to ask him back for next month? Okay. Van a pedir que regreses el mes que viene, pero por mientras te van a llamar para decir qué necesitas traer para la próxima. Okay. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. All right, the next item is Commissioner Jacobson, keep me on track here. Red 8 Asian Bistro and Sushi, is that correct? Aaron, can you go over what the violations were and the fines and fees associated?
Yes, for Red 8, sell to minor, untrained server, and then the third violation was no ID badge. For the sell to minor, they received it was suggested a 5-day suspension plus costs, fine for the untrained server, $200, and number 3 is a written warning.
Thank you.
And then a 5-day suspension for the employee as well.
Thank you. Is there a representative from Red 8 Asian Bistro here?
Maybe we should also put this over next month and ask the representative to appear.
I'm looking to the commission. Okay, that's great. Okay. All right, next item is VFW through 3586. Aaron, can you go through the violation, fines and fees, and any mitigating information, circumstances?
Sell to a minor, the offer was a fine of $1,000. The second violation is a minor on the premise of a bar, a fine of $1,000. Number 3 is minor in the bar area, a fine of $1,000. And then number 4, employee intoxicated while on duty, a fine of $500. And then the employee, the max fine of $300 was the offer.
There a representative here from BFW? Great. Could you come to the podium, please? Please state your name and your affiliation.
My name is John Watson, and I'm the quartermaster for VFW Post 3586.
Thanks, Mr. Watson. This one's just especially troubling to me, so I'll just go on the record saying that an intoxicated employee can't have that. Minor on premises with the intoxicated employee. It's pretty severe. Are there any questions of the commission?
I just like to know how that happens.
Well, there is actually no evidence that the employee was intoxicated. There is supposition on the part of the police officers, but there was no actual evidence that he was intoxicated. The fact that the minors were on the presence of our establishment was because Utah Highway Patrol brought them in and in a sting operation.
That's kind of there's 2 serious issues that I see there. One, if the Utah Highway Patrol brought them into the premises and then wrote you up for that I'm sure that's something that Director Anderson would like to know about, because that sounds like it's an entrapment situation. Is that what you're saying occurred?
Yes, sir. It's a program that they have in place where they go to every bar that they can, and they send the minors in an attempt to purchase alcohol.
And then you're saying that they then cited you because the minors were on the premises, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have a process where you check people who come on the premises for their age to make sure they're legal?
We do, sir. As a fraternal organization, we're not actually required to have or use the ID scanners. And so the employee checked the IDs, did the math, looked at the sign that's on our wall that says on or before this day is legal to be here, and made the determination that they were good. And then the Highway Patrol said that they were not.
affected in that manner. Now, what,
Go to avoid this situation going forward.
I think one of the things that affects the other commissioners is this concept of the allegation of the employee being intoxicated while on duty. I guess the first question is, do you know what made the SBI or whoever the officer was that came in suspect that this person was intoxicated? Did they have alcohol on their breath?
They claimed that they could smell alcohol on his person. And if anyone has ever tended bar before, the last beer that comes out of a keg sprays everywhere but in the glass. The metering system on the bottles, they tend to leak. And so you're going to have alcohol on your hands. It's going to be on your clothing. And they were in a very small enclosed room in the back in 85-degree heat because our swamp coolers hadn't been brought online yet. And the officers determined that they could smell alcohol.
The problem I'm having with this, sir, is we have SBI go out to a lot of different establishments. And this is, I haven't seen this particular violation that much. Maybe in the last few months, maybe seen two or three total in the last several months. But now we have two on here. And I wonder if why that wouldn't be the case in someplace else. Did they give this person a breathalyzer test?
They did not, sir. They requested that he provide a breathalyzer, and based on my advice to him as a law enforcement officer in the Army, I suggested to him that he submit a blood sample at a emergency room or at the jail, because field breathalyzers are incredibly inaccurate. As a military police officer in the Army, we don't even use them because they are so inaccurate.
Okay, well, I'll take your word that they're not using them today. They used to use them. Okay, I just have I have a lot of problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, I share your sentiment, Commissioner Jacobson, and I mean, just to see something like this pop up is troubling. I would like to, Director Clayson, can you just give a little bit more detail on, it sounds like this was a cub operation, and so can you just share what that entails?
Sure. To clarify for the record, SBI does have what's called cub operation, or a cub program, covert underage buying program. And so this is an organized program where they send in minors to establishments, including our retail store establishments, for them to see if they can purchase alcohol, again, either in either setting, be it a retail store or a licensing environment or establishment. So they are statutorily allowed to send in minors. And so I do just want to make sure that the record reflects that this is an organized program that is statutorily permitted.
Thank you for that clarification. So I think the options here are, we could look for a motion to approve the agreement. We could hold over, or we could hold over to next month to gather some additional information as the commission deems necessary. The ones that we looked at, I do feel like we needed follow-up on. I'm just looking to the commission and Commissioner Jacobson, in your line of questioning, do you feel like you need additional information to take action on this one?
Well, the total amount of fines are $3,500. I defer to the Attorney General on this. Given what happened apparently in this situation, would we be allowed also to impose a suspension, or are we precluded from a suspension? I mean, I think it's pretty serious when you get intoxicated on duty and I'm not trying to pick on anybody or anything, but unfortunately, I had a client that had somebody who was intoxicated working in a warehouse 2 weeks ago and fell off the rack, those racks, and became seriously injured. And when they, picked him up, he was clearly severely intoxicated, and it causes accidents. And most working establishments won't let you drink on the job. And especially when you're dealing with one of our licensees and what they're involved in. I just feel that in these cases, it's a pretty egregious situation to have an employee that's intoxicated. And so I would be in favor of a 5-day suspension to be added to this. So we can send a clear message to all of our licensees that they need to retain employees who will not be engaging in the consumption of alcohol on the premises.
Point of clarification, do we have any proof? Did your employee go to the hospital or somewhere and get a?
He did not, because the police didn't think it was important enough to pursue.
You know, on second thought, maybe we better hold this over and we better get some information from SBI.
And
Honestly, I think that that's going to be the best thing to do at this point.
I could add, I saw in the mitigating factors that it said that the employee had been drinking the night before. And so that's why, because the officer said he had bloodshot eyes, flushed red skin color, and a sparkle of moisture on his face, which showed signs of recent alcohol use, and that he walked with a sway. So I think that, and he said it was because he had been drinking the night before. So I think that's where the maybe discrepancy is.
he actually went to court on the legal side yesterday.
Yeah.
The legal side only cited him for the 3 violations, the first 3 violations. There was no mention of intoxication in the legal proceedings, and he received a plea in abeyance of 6 months.
Thank you. Well, we'd look for either a motion to move this along, a motion to amend the fine or the penalty and move, or we can leave it to do some additional follow-up with SBI.
I feel a little more comfortable if I got some more facts from SBI.
All right, so I don't hear anyone making that motion. So that's, yes, we don't need a motion. Let's go ahead and move on. Thank you, sir. We'll get specifically what we need and follow up with you. Staff will follow up with you. Thank you, sir.
Who would I be receiving that from? Because I tried calling my alcohol compliance officer yesterday with a separate question and got no reply.
Is Aaron, you'll work with him to get some additional information as we need it? Okay. So Aaron will work with you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, and then if I've got it right, the final one that we're considering separately is Hive 435 Tap House. Is that correct, Commissioner Jacobson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
While the owner of Hive 435 is making his or her way up here, I just want to make a point of clarification for the public. I am frequently asked about as the DABC's Cub programs. And I just want to make it very clear, the DABC is not law enforcement. The DABC doesn't run the Cub program. That is a law enforcement initiative. And so I just wanted to clarify for the public, because I hear this a couple of times a month. The DABC doesn't run the Cub program. We just work with the information that we are given by law enforcement who runs the Cub program.
Thanks, Commissioner Orton. Aaron, will you just go over, I know that we have it in front of us, but just for the record, will you go over what the violation is on 435 and what the proposed agreement is, fines and fees?
Yes, we have consumption of alcohol while on duty. The fine for the licensee, $1,000 plus costs. The employees handled as a separate matter.
Thank you, Aaron. Employee being handled as a separate matter. Was that termination?
One was terminated and the other one is currently working. We have not been able to reach either of those people.
All right. Is anyone from Hive 435 here or available online? Okay.
They should be online. Mr. Payne, if you're online, can you press *6 to unmute?
Is Mr. Ping, are you there? Okay. So we're gonna, I propose we hold this one off. I'm interested in what has happened with that second employee. And also interested in what Hive 435 Tap House is doing to ensure this doesn't happen again. So unless anyone has a motion to approve this or a motion to make changes, amend and approve, we'll go ahead and move on. Right. All right. Thank you. Thanks to staff for, again, I know they do a lot of work to put all of this together and then we do some deep dives, but we just want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence on some of these things. Okay, moving on to, I'm just trying to make sure, B1. Jeff, I've got commissioner action on hearing officials recommended findings.
Yes, this is before the commission, separate and apart from the settlement agreements, because this does not involve the settlement. Scott will be addressing the commission as to the particulars. Scott Higley is to my right.
Good morning. For Triple Stop, there was a first citation on January 21st of 2022 for a violation that occurred in December of 2021. That was resolved previously. The second citation happened on April 7th, 2022, with a violation date of March 17th, 2022. Both of these were for sale to a minor. And as I understand it, there's no dispute that it was a sale to a minor. DABS made their standard offer of $3,000 fine and 10-day suspension, both of which fall in the statutory requirement for the penalty. Triple Stop requested a hearing on the penalty and also made a counteroffer of $4,000. The $4,000 counteroffer was declined by DABS. On July 29th, 2022, the hearing was held. The recommended order was to uphold the $3,000 fine and the 10-day suspension. There was no objection filed to that order. Objections are required to be filed within 10 days. And that's where we stand. I can answer any questions if you have them.
Does the commission have any questions?
Scott, just so that we're clear, the commission is being asked to either affirm or reject the ALJ finding. Is that right?
So it isn't an ALJ, it's a hearing officer.
Excuse me, hearing
Yeah,
officer.
just
Thank
so the
you.
record is clear. And the commission has the right to accept in whole or in part the hearing officer's findings. So correct, yes.
Okay, with that, we would be looking for a motion to accept or a motion to reject. If there are no more questions.
I would make a motion to accept the findings of the hearing officer.
So moved by Commissioner Orton. Seconded by Commissioner Tu. Is there any discussion to that motion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, I'll rule that motion carries to accept the finding. Next, Craig is going to share on the update on the order to show cause that we discussed last month with Buffalo Wild Wings. So Craig, can you brief us on this? And then I would ask that representatives of Buffalo Wild Wings come to the podium.
Yes, thank you. And good morning, commissioners. This is a continuance from last month's agenda with the order to show cause on Buffalo Wild Wings with the allegations of employing untrained managers.
Craig, I'm not sure if I don't think your microphone is on.
Commissioner, can I interrupt before we move on? I apologize.
Sure.
As part of the triple stop, the 10-day suspension, the commission needs to determine whether they will decide the 10 days or if they will allow the triple stop to determine what 10 days the suspension will occur.
Mr. Beckner, will you repeat that one more time? Oh, I'm sorry, Scott.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
That's why I should actually look down there.
Sure, the commission needs to determine whether they will pick the dates for the 10-day suspension or if they will allow the triple stop parties to determine the 10 days for the suspension.
What is our normal practice on that? Does the AG or our staff normally determine the days, or do we leave it up to the?
What we've done in the past is to pick the days, and they are part of the settlement, which the commission then approves. But what we're doing now is having the commission approve the settlement agreement, settle the days going forward. Does that make sense? In the past, the suspension was completed before the commission ruled on it. Now we're having them complete the suspension after the commission rules. So the settlements on this calendar or on this consent calendar that involve settlements we're asking the commission to approve the dates in the settlement agreement, which will be the first part of October. And so on triple stop, the commission needs to approve the 10 days, but then decide if they are going to pick the days or ask the licensee to pick them.
I propose that we pick the days. Is there anyone who's, again, someone will have to make that motion if they're in agreement with what I'm proposing, but I think it makes sense for us to maintain control over that.
And I think that the action that was moved and seconded and voted included it. You were saying that we needed to decide whether the 10 days was part of it. So we determined that was part of the motion. So now we're just deciding whether we want to choose the 10 days and when those 10 days will be served, correct?
Yeah, for clarification, the motion was to approve the recommended findings. What you need to approve is the recommended order. So
Okay.
the order.
Okay.
So the order included a fine, a suspension, a violation training, and costs.
Okay.
All right. So I'd be looking for that motion.
So do I need to make a motion to reconsider to change the wording from findings to order?
I think this clarifies it. The other thing is that the recommended order should have some provision that a third violation could result in a revocation.
Okay. I want to try and then Jeff will make
Sure.
sure that we've got that motion right.
So I would like to move that we are going to accept the order that was suggested by the hearing officer. And I also want to move that we inform the violator, triple stop, that if they have a third violation, revocation is a possibility. And also, getting this, Vicky? And I would also like to move that the commission would like to set the dates for triple stop to serve their 10-day suspension. Oh, Angela.
Commissioners, we actually need you to pick the dates because they will be included in the commission order that the executive director signs at the end of this meeting.
Do you have 10 days to recommend? Starting date of,
They start either September 30th or October 1st, somewhere in that range, close in time to today's date.
Is that what's the recommendation?
I make the
specifically of date?
recommendation of October 1st through October 10th.
Yes, I would include that in my motion that we would move to have them, ask them to serve the suspension from the 1st to the 10th.
Artfully moved by Commissioner Orton. Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Commissioner Tui. Is there any discussion to the motion? All in favor? All right, any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, thank you for joining us for that. Craig, please go on, and we're moving on now to the update on the order to show cause on Buffalo Wild Wings. Craig had started to brief us on this. We didn't catch everything because your mic was not on, so go ahead, Craig. I'm sorry to make you go back to the beginning, but go ahead and go on the record, please.
All right, thank you, and that's okay. This is a continuance of the order to show cause that was filed and appeared on the agenda for the August commission meeting. At that meeting, the commission requested some additional information and steps that the entity was going to take and willing to take to avoid for further problems down the road. The current allegations on the order to show cause are having untrained managers in their employ and for some time. We do have representatives of Buffalo Wild Wings here to answer any questions, to present what that entity has come up with to avoid these problems further.
Thank you, Craig. We appreciate your work on this. Are there any questions from the commission for Craig? All right. Thank you for joining us. We'd like to hear again what steps you're taking to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. Please state your names and your affiliation for the record.
My name is Peter Cruz. I'm the general manager for the South Jordan Buffalo Wild Wings.
And Tanner Strickland Leonard, I'm an attorney for Buffalo Wild Wings. And I just want to say I'm thrilled to see we have a mic in place. So thank you to the IT department and all the work that they do. And I'm serious, they do a lot of good work. I don't think we thanked them in a while. We have provided you all with, just please confirm you got the Utah manager procedure updates. I would like to say these are all things that have been done locally. However, there are 10 locations in Utah. And so this is taking it up a level. This is the only state that corporate is doing this for, having this duplicative measuring of all of the managers that are on file, the informed consent, the fingerprints, the background check. Now, usually this is something that corporate checks every year when we do our renewals, which is happening right now, but this is going to move to be doing something monthly. This is an additional responsibility and it's going to be done monthly. You also should have received that big blank Excel spreadsheet that shows all of these. It's going to be nice and big and full this time next year, showing all of the managers. And also we're going to keep on file even people that have still been that have left, strike them out just in case anything ever comes back up. So we're going to keep those records. Again, this is something that's duplicative. You may have heard you move what you measure. I feel like this is going to be a really big measuring device.
Thank you. Does the commission have any questions?
I might add, I read, since I was pretty critical last month, I read what you folks have put together, and I think it's a substantial improvement. I think you understand the problem, and that's really important. And, you know, in dealing with a lot of corporations that do business in different states, you have to comply with the individual state laws. And I know that it may seem like it's different in Utah, but that's the way it is if you want to do business in Utah.
Any other comments or questions from the commission? I think we'd be looking for some guidance on what, right? So we left this off for a month to do this additional work, and we appreciate you coming back with the work that you've done.
Madam Chair, what are the penalties?
By statute, the commission may suspend, choose not to renew or revoke the license. They also have the discretion of dismissing the order to show cause should they find that the results are satisfactory and the steps are appropriate for the violation.
Thank you, Craig. So if I'm hearing, if just to reiterate, if we think what's come back is sufficient, we could take a motion to dismiss.
I would be willing, oh, do you want to go ahead? I was just gonna say I'd be willing to make the motion to dismiss based on the information they provided and the steps they've taken internally to correct some of the problems.
So moved by Commissioner Orton.
I'll second that. And thank you for following up and for also for your company for having their own Utah way of approaching things like many companies need to. I
Laura
appreciate
was
the work.
Great help on this. So she did a lot of the work on it. So she ended up doing a lot of the paperwork and we got together and like I said, all the managers should be taken care of.
Thank you.
So that was seconded by Commissioner Tu. Is there any discussion to that motion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? All right, we'll move that order to dismiss, or that motion to dismiss carries. Thank you. Okay, let's keep moving here. Item number 8, there's a full year license that that is requesting to change to a summer seasonal license. Craig, it's good you're still there.
Yes, greetings again. Thank you. We have Schultz's Lakeside Dining. It is at Penguich Lake. They are requesting to convert their year-round license to a summer seasonal based primarily on the staffing challenges of that location. It is a limited restaurant license, and that would return a winter seasonal limited restaurant license to the pool.
Thank you. Any questions for Craig?
Make the motion to approve the license change.
Moved by Commissioner Tui, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we'll rule that motion carries. Next up, it looks like we have one extended closure request, Reef's Cuisine in Park City. Mike?
Good morning, Commissioners. Reef's Cuisine is located in Park City at the Deer Valley Club. They, as many licensees in Park City, they tend to close for about 60 days in the spring and 60 days in the fall, for what the locals refer to as mud season. As Reef's Cuisine prepared to open for the summer, they were unable to due to unforeseen medical circumstances and came before the commission in July and requested an extended closure into this meeting. As they look forward, they are moving into their mud season again and would like to request the extended closure go until the December meeting when they're able to open for the winter.
Make the motion to approve the extended closure.
Second. All right, moved by Commissioner Tui, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any discussion to that motion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we'll move. So motion's been passed. Nicole, looks like we have a public service permit applicant in Allegiant Air.
Good morning, Commissioners. We have Allegiant Air that would be flying out of Provo Airport. They have 2 flights in and 2 flights out. Application is complete and they meet statutory requirements.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the commission? All right, moved by Commissioner Parrish. Is there a second? That's seconded by Commissioner Orton. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, rule that motion carries. Nicole, you'll be sharing an application for a local industry representative.
Yes, Commissioner. We have Scott Ritchie. He will be based in Camas and he's applying for the industrial representative license. Application is complete and licensee meets statutory requirements.
Any questions on this one, Commission?
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
All right. Got a motion from Commissioner Tui. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Orton. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Rule that motion carries. All right, Jeff, we've got a manufacturer winery applicant.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. Everything Good Nutrition application is complete and they meet statutory requirements.
Are there any questions of the commission? Promotion.
Make a motion to approve the applicant.
Right. Second. All right, okay. We'll move by Commissioner Tui and I'll call that seconded by Commissioner Parrish. Is there any discussion to that motion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we'll move that motion or rule that motion carries. Okay, we've got a couple of off-premise beer retailer applicants. It looks like we've got some change of ownerships and some new applicants.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners.
We have two change of ownerships. Number one, Quick Stop. Number three in Ogden is complete and they meet statutory requirements. Applicant number two, Last Chance Store number 7 in Provo is complete and meets statutory requirements.
Okay, are there any questions on those change of ownerships? Not, we'd be looking for a motion.
I'll move that we approve items 1 and 2, change of ownerships.
Moved by Commissioner Tui. Seconded by Commissioner Orton. Any discussion to the motion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, I'll rule that motion carries. And we've got 4 new applicants we're looking at.
Yes, the first applicant, Rancho Markets in Clearfield, is complete and meets statutory requirements. Applicant number 2, Holiday Oil number 73 is complete and meets statutory requirements. Applicant number 3, Costco Wholesale 1633 in Logan is conditional due to business license and training. Applicant number 4, Express Mart in North Salt Lake is no longer conditional and is complete and meets statutory requirements.
Thank you.
I'll move that we accept the new applicants 1 through 4.
Moved by Commissioner Orton.
I'll second. And also for the record, I wanted to know if you know the opening date for the Costco in Logan. Did they report it?
It is,
the Herald
it's in
Journal
November.
listening?
It's in a
Okay.
few months.
Thank
So-
you. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
I know, I've got a date up. Everyone go up there for a hot dog. We'll make it a date. So that's been moved by Commissioner Orton, seconded by Commissioner Tui. If there's no more discussion, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ruled that motion carries. All right, moving on to license applications. Let's handle the change of ownership applications first. Margaret?
Good morning, Commissioners. We have 6 full changes of ownerships. Note only 3 and 6 are still conditional. The rest are not. Waldorf Astoria hotel license in Park City with 3 sub-licenses. Meets statutory requirements. The Delton in North Valley is a recreational bowling center license. Also meets statutory requirements. The La Ceviche area, which was Cancun Cafe, is complete. I'm sorry, that's the conditional one for final inspection and meets statutory requirements. Scores in Lehigh, which is no longer conditional, meets statutory requirements. Piper Down, Salt Lake City meets all statutory requirements. And Crum Brothers is still conditional for liquor license bond and ACORD, otherwise meets statutory requirements. And if you would like me to do the 51%.
Let's go and handle that
Sure.
restructuring one as well. Thank you, Margaret.
So the Sugar House Coffee also meets statutory requirements. All are ready for you.
Are there any questions on these changes?
I'll make a motion that we approve items 1 through 6 and in the 51% category, item 1 altogether.
With items 3 and 6 conditional?
Yes, thank you. And 3, 4, and 6. Oh, sorry, you struck that.
3 and 6.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Commissioner Tui's made that motion. Is there a second to the motion? All right, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, I'll rule that motion carries. Okay, now we're on to bar establishment applicants. We have 1 license right now, so based on the quota, we're down to 1 license. Staff tells us that kind of the way that the population analysis works out, we can expect 1 more to come our way this year in November, is that right? And then that's it. So we're dealing with 2 licenses here. This is nothing new. This does not come as surprising to anyone, but we're in a tough spot. We have 2 establishments, both currently taverns, as I understand it, that are currently operating, so would be ready to open if we were to grant a license. And then we have 9 other applications. On the list. And I can see that 7 of those 9 projecting being ready to open during the time that we have 2 licenses. So really, we have 9 right now. That's excluding any other applications that come our way in the next couple of months, but we really have 9 right now and 2 licenses. So this is the situation that we're in. So we've got 2 taverns that are currently operating and could open, and then we have 7 that say they could be open by December. Yeah, and that's the timing in which we've got these 2 licenses that we're dealing with. And then right on the tail of those of December, then we've got 2 additional. So I know this is not necessarily a new position for the commission, but it's the first time for some of us who are newer to be in such a place of scarcity. And so we really need to look at all of the merits of these applications. I know we've really come down in the past on, can you open tomorrow? Are you ready to open? And I think that's a very important factor to consider, just given the scarcity. But I think that we also need to be thinking about all of those other factors that the legislature asks us to consider when we're looking at these licenses. So that, just with that, we're in a tough spot here. I think the best way to handle this is to go ahead and hear updates from the applicants, and allow the commission to ask questions, and then we can turn to what we want to do with that 1 license that we currently have on the table. So can I ask, are there any representatives from Westside Tavern? Hi, welcome. Please state your name, and give us an update on why you're seeking to change from the tavern license to the full bar license.
My name is Libby Taylor. I'm the general manager of the Westside Tavern. We are still just really struggling to get business back up and going. Post-COVID, we were shut down for a very long time, and now we have this 300 West construction. And we're finding ourselves very hindered by only being able to serve, 40 to 50% of the products that that brewery makes that I'm attached to. And in a time where we would normally rely on High Point beers, liquor, wine, local offerings to kind of help us get people back in the door, we're not really able to do our standby kind of business pushers right now.
So just to make sure that I'm understanding right, there are products that are being manufactured that you can't serve in your tavern. There are beer products that are being manufactured that can't be served in your beer tavern. Why is that?
Because they are above 5%. So we, Wasatch Squatters makes some of the best-selling craft beers in Utah. And I'm not able to pour, like a Hop Rising, something super recognizable in my
Did
tavern.
someone purchase like for consumption off premises?
We do have a PA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So someone could go to the PA, purchase a beer, walk out to their car. I don't want this
Right,
happening, but
hopefully
I'm
not.
just saying. Okay.
But they can't walk into my bar and drink it.
Just to
and
be
I
clear,
can't-
that's not.
Right, no, I
that's
can't
not legal, but I'm
responsibly,
just saying you
legally hand them
can't
that beer.
Serve
Yeah.
them a beer inside your bar where you can track how many they're drinking. Okay. Are there any other are there questions from the commission?
Though I just want to note, if this, make sure this is correct, it said you had a bar license. And in 2021, that was moved to Squatters downtown. Is that right?
It is, yes. I had a different group of leadership. We're not affiliated with the SLBC, those restaurants anymore. We have parted ways. And so I think I mentioned it last month. I put up a big fight when that bar license was taken away from my establishment. But it was something that was kind of out of my control. And then very short after the bar license was moved there, on top of their existing restaurant license, we split ways intercompany.
Are there any other questions? All right, we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go on. Is there anyone from Fisher here? Hi, welcome. We know that many of you are familiar with the drill, but please state your name, your affiliation, give us an update on why you're seeking this license, if anything's really changed since the last time we heard from you.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Tim Dwyer. I'm a co-owner at Fisher Brewing Company. And I hope that you all have had a chance to look over that letter that we provided as an update since last meeting. And thank you to Commissioner Ortman for making a stopover and seeing our new facility that's under construction and kind of seeing the layout of our establishment as it currently is. We are putting in a substantial investment, multi-million-dollar expansion project, including an event space next door. And our capacity will eventually be 500 plus people, a 60% increase from where we sit today. We see that there is right now a tremendous demand for products outside of just beer. And that includes wine and cider and local spirits. And that's something we want to cater to with a bar license. Our long-term vision for our place is to utilize this private event space that we're building as part of this expansion, and that people will always want to have champagne as part of a wedding. Spirits are always requested for corporate events, and we want to be able to provide that as part of this expansion. So I do want to just to make that distinction is we aren't just a tavern license that's looking to pour our High Point beer. Like this is something we're moving towards and is important for us and our long-term success is having this bar license so that we can operate and serve the wide variety of things here. We are a licensee with a proven track record. We're a very busy bar. We get really busy and we need the extra space, which is why we're doing this expansion. We haven't had any violations since our opening in 2017. And I understand that you all have a very difficult thing here with limited licenses, but we are a proven company that's busy. We will make good money for the state. We will be a high volume bar establishment should we be awarded that license. So thank you for your time and consideration. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer that.
When do you see your event space being operational?
Probably by December, January. But as we are now, I mean, we are bursting at the seams. We are packed to the gills every weekend, and we are currently a very busy bar that would benefit greatly from a bar license immediately.
I have a quick question. So we have on our sheet that I'm assuming that the seating of 250 is your current seating.
That's correct, and that's including the outside, the seasonal patio, which we rely on a lot these days, especially. But that's correct.
I just wondered what it will be after you finish the expansion.
I think 509 will be our expansion afterwards, and we are adding a rooftop patio. It's a really exciting expansion that we're undergoing, and again, for the long-term success of our establishment, we will be continuing to seek a bar license.
I think Commissioner Tui has a question, but really quick before we go there, can I just validate with staff? Could the event space potentially be eligible for, and I'm getting way out of my wheelhouse, like a banquet license or like event space type license?
Not a banquet.
Okay.
But we've decided that it might work with a reception.
Okay, so what reception license?
license,
Could they
right?
be eligible for a reception license? For that part of their business?
It's it requires 5,000 square feet to be considered for a reception center license.
Oh, okay. So that's not an option.
Two other requirements.
And how
I know
how
when-
many square feet?
You consider the whole area or larger than that, but the private event space is far less than, I think
Okay.
it's 1,300 square feet.
Okay. This is probably a follow-up. I'll follow up with staff, but I'd be interested in understanding the 5,000 square feet, just the number behind that. I'm not suggesting that you should apply for an event space license, or I'm just trying to understand kind of the options that are available, given we're in such a place of scarcity. Commissioner
We did
Tui.
discuss that, and
Okay.
I think that there are some things that are kind of arduous for us as far as bringing in different groups and having agreements in place and things like that. A lot of this would be just utilizing the additional space as we currently operate. The majority of what we'll be using the space for is overflow capacity. As like I say, we're already bursting at the seams, and we're under the gun to get this open as quick as possible for the winter season, because a lot of our outdoor seating will no longer be viable.
Commissioner Tui. My question was along the same lines, like as a stopgap, have you considered applying for single event permits if you're using the space for event space is what you're calling it? So have you thought about that?
We have, but that they're limited to 12 a year. And I mean, this is the kind of thing where we have, I mean, we could easily book 2 or 3 a week.
And how about a temporary beer permit?
Same sort of limitation. I think that there's, well, for those private events, they want beer, wine, liquor, they want the whole range, right? So
I'm embarrassed to even have to ask you these questions.
Oh, no,
So
that's
thank you
okay.
for indulging me. We're trying to get creative on your behalf. So
and I appreciate that. And I just want to impress upon the commission that, I mean, we think that we're a really good, high value bar applicant for you all.
Thank you. Are there any other questions of the commission? All right, thank you. Oh, Angela.
Just an FYI, the statutory definition of a reception center requires facilities that are at least 5,000 square feet and has its primary purpose, the leasing of those facilities to a third party for a third party's event. That has to be their primary purpose.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, so West Side Tavern, Fisher Brewery Company, again, currently operating as taverns, could operate as bars immediately. Next, we move to those that have future opening dates, some that are very close. Verse from Salt Lake City, can we have you come up? And I think we'd really like to hear, I'm sorry. Who's going in order? Do you want to bring Lit to the beginning?
They're all in different.
Burst, come on up. You guys, yeah. You're on the agenda as number 1.
Lynn Our bar manager, I'm Michael Rep owner. Jason Thomas, Treadstone Building Group. You're going to receive the packets of our updates. Commissioner Orton, thank you for the site inspection, greatly appreciated. Hopefully what you'll see is a big change from yesterday as well. There's been quite a bit done. We're posing that we would love to be granted this license based on the fact that our community has one establishment in the entire state right now considered to be a safe space. The other one is moving in December. I hear we're not quite sure what's happening there, but we are fervently doing this construction. We've completed about 4 months of construction in 3 weeks by working 14 hours a day. My husband and I have invested our life savings into this event. I'm going to turn this over to Jason. He'll be able to answer all of the construction questions. We will be 100% operational by October 7th, if not before then.
Actually, as you come up and again, please state your full name and we'd like to hear about the construction. I just want to make a comment that it's really difficult. I feel like a lot of more and more of these commission meetings get focused on really nitty gritty construction things. So we're we deal in alcohol and we deal in policy, but we're about to ask you about plywood sheathing, your grease trap and stormwater connection, when your concrete standing and sealing are going to take place. So I actually am just saying all this to say to the commission, thank you for, having to become quasi experts here. And then for you all as business owners, thank you for indulging our questions around the nitty gritty of actual construction schedules. I apologize that we're in this situation, but this is a situation that we're in. So with that, we would love to hear an update on what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. My name is Jason Thomas. I'm the owner of Treadstone Building Group. We are the general contractor for Club Verse. I'd like to thank Commissioner Orton and Mr. Bishop for visiting us yesterday. We've handed out a packet showing updated photos and also highlighting those nitty-gritty construction things in kind of a summary bullet point fashion. This schedule that we have is a simplified version of our expected work schedule over the next couple of weeks. I'm sure you're familiar with the photos from the last meeting. At that time, we had 40% of the concrete floor out, 2-foot trenches throughout the building. In 3 weeks, we have installed and completed the sub-rough infrastructure, had that inspected. We've replaced the concrete with the exception of a couple of spots. We have also fully framed out the entire interior of the bar. The plywood sheathing that you see is actually the finished product. So in lieu of drywall.
It will be sanded and stained, so that it is a finished product, but it will be finished further.
Sanding, and so, oh no, it's concrete, that I do see that on your list here, plywood, sanding and sealing. Done, Friday, thank you.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, there was a reference in last meeting to avoiding whimsical schedules and anticipations. This is our schedule that we fully expect to make. Things will fluctuate and vary as they always do, and we'll move to accommodate those. But this is the schedule that we expect to meet at this time, and we're essentially down to just finishes. We have some inspections scheduled on electrical and plumbing rough today and tomorrow. And then we'll be literally just staining the sheathing, tiling the countertop, installing equipment, all of which has been purchased and we are already in possession of. So this schedule is very realistic.
And all of our equipment is already purchased. It's in the warehouse at Mariani. So everything is prepared and ready to go in at a moment's notice as soon as the floor is done.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that I was driving home over the weekend or on a Friday, I think it was, very late at night, leaving another bar, and you guys were still working into the night.
Great.
And Jason's crew has been very diligent in working 14 and 16-hour days to make this project happen on time. So
great.
We are conceivably pushing every boundary to make this happen for our community. So I just hope that the commission will see that our community definitely needs one more space, and that my husband and I have a 7-year track record with the DABC of the previous business with no violations and high revenue. And we're doing this now for different reasons, but we're here and we're going to continue our relationship with you guys, and we're going to make it work one way or another. So that's it.
We appreciate all of the updates. Are there any other questions? All right, let's move on. And Commissioners, recognize I am cognizant of the schedule. We've just had some really deep issues we've had to consider in this agenda. The one we're currently in being one of them, but recognize that I'm seeing where we are at the time. Lit Arcade Bar is item number 2 under projected future openings on my agenda. Can we get an update from you all on where you are? And please again, state your name for the record. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nate Smith. This is my wife, Christy.
Hello.
We're the owners of Lit Arcade Bar. We are complete with our construction. Everything that's in our power is done. We have our equipment installed, our beer fridges, our flooring, our finishes, our lighting. We're doing the nice to haves, not the need to haves. We're doing decorative finishes on tabletops. We're reinforcing the way it's fastened because we're using old radiator tables. And we definitely don't want any kind of liability with injuries. So we're like, let's tighten this up. So we're done. We have 40 games installed. We also, the only thing that is still outside of our control is the fire sprinkler system. The space that we're occupying was a restaurant that had a restaurant license before, that because of the change of occupancy wasn't grandfathered into the space. So it never needed a fire sprinkler before, but does now according to Ogden. We'll be able to have 500 people in our space once that's completed. And the landlord and general contractor assure me that will be done by the 3rd week of October. We had a minor delay in that where they failed to find it in the street. The collaring wasn't done properly, and so the geolocating wasn't done. but that work began this week with a 2.5 week estimated lead time to finish. So we are excited to open. We're doing all of those things. We're doing logos, paint. I mean, we're ready.
Can you repeat what your seating will be again?
So the occupancy will be 500,
Okay.
but we're going to have drink holders and standing tables near each of the games. Our seating is is about 100, but the occupancy will be 100 because our revenue is people putting quarters into games, not sitting down and hanging out. So we'll have couches. We have 3 couches. We have 10 tables and we have approximately 100 seats, but we have standing tables and we have tables near the games as well.
You have skee ball?
We have 4 skee balls. I suck at skee ball, but I'm getting much better. My high
Very
score is
important to know.
37,000,
Okay.
so it's
Which you
bragging
stand by.
rights.
Okay.
Yes, we do have skee ball.
All right. Any questions of the commission?
I just have a quick question. As far as inspections and things like that are concerned, what is your projected schedule?
So we have a final electrical inspection for Thursday, scheduled this week. We had an interim health inspection 2 weeks ago. They gave us very minor punch list items. There was one hand wash sink that was 35 feet from the primary bar. They asked for one closer and that was back ordered. It arrives tomorrow. So that hand wash sink is a quick 5-bolt and plug it in thing. So that will be done in a week. The Ogden Health, the Weber Morgan Health Department is on training all week this week, but I was exchanging calls with them. So anticipating health is done next week as well. And we didn't have a general contractor for the work that was in our control. We did it ourselves. So 6,000 foot of laminate flooring was done by us by hand. I'm a pro at it now. I actually still have 1,000 feet left over because I overbought. So it's on sale at KSL. If anybody's interested. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
So.
If there's no other questions from the commission, thank you. We appreciate the update. Let's hear from Edison House, please. And again, as they're coming up and just this goes to the previous presenters, thank you so much for kind of continuing to work with us, keep us in a loop. We know we're not strangers, so thank you.
Hi, I'm Charlie Carden. And I'm George Carden Bistry. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to hear from us. So I'm George, this is Charlie. We're the owners and operators of Edison House. We are 8th generation Utahns and we both moved our lives back here to start Edison House in Salt Lake City. And we're really proud to be a family owned and operated business. First off, we understand the commission's desire to see operators ready to open. That's why we've provided detailed construction and training schedules, along with many photos, and have invited numerous commissioners as well as the staff to come out and view our property. We will begin training on October 9th and we will be open on October 16th. We believe we are the best bar license applicant, and we would like to take a moment to highlight a few aspects in our application for where we believe we meet the criteria as laid out in the statute that the commission is to consider in their process. Length of time on the wait list. We've attended every meeting for 18 months and always been transparent about where we are in the process. Size and square footage. At 30,000 square feet and a 1,200 person occupancy, that makes us one of the largest bars in the state. Public input and support. We have broad support throughout the arts, LGBT, civil, and business communities with letters of recommendation from the top leadership at the Utah Jazz, N Circle and Equality Utah, the Utah Symphony and Opera, the Utah Museum of Contemporary Art, Salt Lake City, the Downtown Alliance, City Council, and Mayor Aaron Mendenhall. Whether the business is entrepreneurial and would benefit the community. We have a charitable branch for education, advocacy, and fundraising, and as our way of giving back to the community. We also have 2 scholarship programs, including free sponsorship for 30 recent graduates at the University of Utah. Management experience and violation history. Ours is a staff with extensive experience from many of the state's premier operators with no violation history. We will be a professionally run, buttoned-up operation that takes compliance seriously, including safe serve training once per year for all of our wait staff. Last and most important is economic impact. We are bringing at least 80 new jobs to downtown. Taxable revenues are 4 to 5 times higher than your average bar. Roughly 50% of that revenue is guaranteed in the form of monthly dues. We will generate more income, taxable income, in 1 week than your average bar makes in a month. The significant tax dollars we generate for the state will impact every single taxpayer. We need 8 weeks to hire our 70-person staff and have spent the last 6 weeks doing so. If we're fortunate enough to receive a license today, we will begin training on October 9th and begin service in our restaurant on October 16th. In fact, I got an email from our HR director this morning sharing that we're actually planning to notify our 70 frontline staff that it's game time. And that email is supposed to go out today. We would not be asking people to quit their jobs if we were not ready. If we don't get a license today, I'm unsure what to tell those 70 people who have signed offer letters and are getting ready to quit their jobs. The only response I can think of is wait another month or two and hopefully we will have a liquor license at that time. Many of those people will look for work elsewhere and we will have to start the hiring process all over again. Hiring 70 employees is incredibly challenging, and I hope you can see how the size of our operation puts us in such a unique and challenging position. In addition to our 70 frontline employees, we're really fortunate to have 11 incredible salaried employees who are over here who have come out to show their support today. Every month without a liquor license will cost us $70,000 to keep our full-time employees. Our request is to please consider the criteria laid out in statute as you weigh your decision today. Above all else, our understanding is that the commission has been tasked with allocating licenses in accordance with what is most beneficial to the state of Utah and all of its residents. Given our economic impact and specifically the new jobs and significant tax dollars we will generate, we firmly believe we are the best choice. After attending every DABS commission meeting for the last 18 months, I sincerely hope you never have to see me again.
Thank you, gentlemen. Are there any questions of the commission?
I have a question. So you just made an interesting point. Our membership, you set up, you were talking about the membership fees being taxable. Are membership fees taxable in Utah?
Yes.
I thought they weren't.
I wish they weren't, but they are.
Okay.
Maybe not for the case of this meeting, but yeah, they are most definitely taxable.
But the projected revenue that was quoted to us is food and beverage and doesn't include the membership fees, the 330,000 a month.
That would include membership fees. So the first 2 weeks, I was asked from Mike last night for the last 2 weeks in October, what the revenues would be. That would be about $100,000 in dues and $150,000 in food and beverage.
Okay.
And then the next month, we'll have a full month of dues, so $200,000 in dues, and roughly 200 to 250 in food and beverage.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Are there any other questions? Great, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Commissioners, seeing where we are in time, acknowledging that we have representatives for the others that have other applicants with projected openings after October that are here, and we appreciate them being here. Just seeing where we are on time, I'm going to look to the compliance subcommittee to see if, are there any questions that you have specifically, given that you've done a deep dive on this, are there any questions of the others on the list that have opening dates projected out past October, so from November and beyond? Do you have any questions of those folks that were kind of unanswered in your discussions that would help to provide any clarity for you?
I don't personally have any questions. Other members of the committee or subcommittee might, but I do want to, we had a couple of questions about Marquee in Park City, but I don't think they are going to be ready to open before we have a license available. So personally, I think I'm good. I think I'm set as far as questions for additional licensees.
Okay. And then I'll move to the rest of the commission. Again, just focusing on those that are on the list that have projected openings after October. Do you have any specific questions for any of those applicants that would help in your thinking on what to do potentially with the license that we have available today? And again, completely in the interest of time, we appreciate the continual updates everyone that I see on this list has, been here, been providing information. Okay. Okay, thank you. So here we are. I'm going to go back to Commissioner Orton. Again, you had the compliance subcommittee had a robust discussion about some of these. Actually, before I go there, let me just kind of lay out as what I see the options are. And then I'd like to hear from the compliance subcommittee, and then we can also hear from other commissioners. So we have the one license today, and as I see it, we can award that license. So we can look to the list and we can award the license. If we follow what we've been doing, then we would award the license to one of the existing operators, right? We have not been awarding licenses for those entities that are not ready to open. So that would be one option. We could pivot a little bit if we wanted to award a license today and think a little bit more holistically about, again, the projects that are scheduled to be open in, very shortly. And we could award a license based on that. I'm not sure that it's helpful to split hairs on, the race to opening and whether someone can be open October 4th versus 12th. I'm making those numbers up, but you as commissioners could consider those construction schedules. We could hold the license over until next month, potentially pending some more analysis. We have bar factors to consider, right? We have these construction schedules and the dates of opening, and we can look at open or not. I would suggest that in addition to thinking about these things, we should very much look at those factors that the legislature asks us to look at. Still, it's hard to, there's not a whole lot of differentiation in many of these worthy projects, but we could do that here, or we could spend the next month looking at that. So that, I don't know, as chair, those are the options that I see for where we currently are, given the current quota that's in statute. So I'm just going to leave it at that, and then I'll just turn the time over to Commissioner Orton. You can share with us the conversation that you had with your committee members on this, and if you have any guidance there, we'd like to hear it, and then we can turn it back to the rest of the commission with questions and discussion.
Well, I'll keep this really short because we have talked for hours and hours and hours. The reality is our subcommittee was divided. We had, a commissioner who preferred to award a license this month. I prefer to hold a license. I would prefer to hold the license just because I just don't feel like we have real clarity as to where it will best be used currently. And then the third commissioner was unsure. I took all of the statutory bar factors to consider last night and went through them, and I will just put this out on the public record. We have two bars that are virtually, they are neck and neck. When we score all of the statutory bar factors, these two bars are neck and neck. And it looks to me as if the commission needs to probably decide between those two bars. And those two bars are Verse and Edison House. They score much higher than the other bars that are current applicants. And they are also probably the first two, other than Fisher and West Side. They are the first two that are going to be open of the applicants who do not yet have a license to open. So my personal recommendation is that we would hold a license which will give us a little bit more of an opportunity to see how things play out, because we know, we know that the best laid plans of mice and men kind of sometimes get derailed in multiple directions. My personal, I will personally vote to hold a license this month. And I would make a motion at this point to hold a
Second.
license.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made. I guess we don't really need one, but it actually pushes it. It will push us in this direction. So I think it's good that we're considering this. So the motion's been made to just not award any licenses this month by Commissioner Orton. That's been seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Is there any discussion to the motion? And I will just say that my vote on this motion kind of depends on whether or not any other commissioners were planning on moving to at least moving to award one of these licenses. Is there any discussion to the motion?
I just think, you know, that the tough part is I know exactly what all of you are going through. Nobody likes doing this, okay? But the truth of the matter is we have it's a very difficult situation, and we have to face all of our friends out there and unfortunately tell them we can't give you all a license. And I'm going to put my friend Senator Stevenson on the spot by saying, you know, we are operating totally within what the legislature has given us. And, you know, if you don't like the situation, as we've said before, I think the remedy is to petition the legislature and give them good reasons why we should have more bar licenses. But this is what we got. Not today. Next week. Okay, but anyway, I think that's what all you see all my fellow commissioners dealing with. And that's why we're basically saying we need to see people who are really ready to open. That means you got the tables in and everything else, because we've been hoodwinked before. And so I think that's what's going on in their minds. And that's why I think we are basically compelled to save this one license next month to see who's got the table set up and ready to go.
Well, and I'd also like to add that it's not always that we're being hoodwinked. Sometimes it is because factors outside of your control just make it so that you can't open. And so I am personally hesitant to make a determination at this time.
Yeah, Commissioner Parrish, I think you had.
I was really going to echo this sentiment. We've developed a policy, not official or written, that we won't grant a permit until they're open, licensed and complete. We have 5 very good applicants that I think certainly are well qualified, with only 2 permits to go to the end of the year. I support the motion that we wait until next month and at least select 2 of them, and hopefully we can get more licenses.
And we have another license coming in November, correct?
We also have 2 winter seasonal that are in the bar.
And I just had a question about the construction from, I guess, compliance for Verse and for Edison. Do those look like the timelines that were given? Does that seem like accurate to you? And for Edison House, like I know it's a huge facility, so is that also viable at this point?
Thank you. So Edison House, my understanding is their plan, their first floor is going to be open and operational by mid-October, with the entire facility being open end of October. And then
okay.
I'm not a construction guy. I've got no experience with construction. So outside of what applicants are telling me, that's the only information I have to go off of.
All right, well, I guess I'm just gonna add to the discussion. The focus on the construction again is just, it's troubling to me, but it's what we have to go to. But it's troubling to me that, you know, again, I hear from some of you that are under construction, you're saying you need to hire people. And we're telling you, well, you need to finish your construction and be 100% ready to go before you have some certainty about your timing of hiring people. And it is what we're pushing to. I get, like, this is where we have to be. But I just want to say, for me, it's something that's it's difficult for me to kind of reconcile, again, awarding the licenses based on all the other factors that the legislature asks us to. And then on top of it, because licenses are so scarce, we have to start again worrying about, do you have your tables ready to go? And so just to go on record with, I think something that I personally am struggling with, I'm sure others may share that sentiment, but again, we need to move where we are. That motion's, go ahead.
Chairwoman, I just want to second your, I feel like as just a citizen of Utah, it is troubling to me that we are put in a situation of telling a business making, and multiple businesses making multi-million dollar investments in our community, that we cannot give them the assurance that they will have a license to open. And as a state that is, that considers itself very business friendly, I just want to put it out there that I'm not deaf and blind to the struggles that businesses and corporations go through in dealing with this in Utah. And I'm hoping that at some point we'll get some relief.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let's go ahead and vote. All in
Woman.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I need to abstain.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let the record show that Commissioner Tui is abstaining from this vote. All in favor? Are there any opposed? Okay, I'll rule that motion carries, and thank you just for being patient with the discussion. I know that took some time, but I think it was important to talk some of those things through. We are getting very limited on time. Let's get through these next items. We have some new applications for full service restaurants. Just in terms of handling these, we have these in front of us. Heirloom Common at Midway, noted as conditional. Top Golf and Vineyard, noted as conditional. Aquaterra Steak and Sushi in Salt Lake City, noted as conditional. Meat Hook Barbecue, Salt Lake City. And then Mr. and Mrs. Crab Juicy Seafood in Salt Lake City. Craig, do those conditional notes still stand? Is that correct?
Yeah, thank you. The only change is item number 1, Heirloom Common, is no longer conditional.
Do the commissioners have any questions on these applications? I know that they're in your packet and you've reviewed them. If not, I'd be looking for a motion to move by Commissioner Jacobson. Seconded by Commissioner Orton. Is there any discussion to that motion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Bonnie, we just have a limited service restaurant applicant in Social District Bistro, St. George. Is that item still conditional?
Yes, Commissioner. They're pending a final inspection and a business license. Otherwise, they meet all statutory requirements.
And I should just note, just again for the record, as you as staff work to get these on the agenda, you're validating that they meet statutory requirements. Perfect, thank you. All right, any questions about this one? All right, I'd be looking for a motion if there are no questions. All right, moved by Commissioner Orton. We have a seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Are there any opposed? Okay. Move or rule that motion passes. Is Rob with us? Okay, Rob is online. Looks like we're striking that new applicant number 1. So we're considering applicant number 2, AC Marriott, Salt Lake City downtown. Rob, is this one ready to go? Do we need to know anything additionally other than what's been provided?
It is all ready to go.
All right, thank you, Rob. Any questions on this one? Be looking for a motion if not. All right, move to approve by Commissioner Parrish. Is there a second to that motion? All right, that's seconded by Commissioner Terrazon. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor? Are there any opposed? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and rule that that motion passed. All right, Nicole, it looks like we have an on-premise banquet catering applicant in Topgolf and Vineyard. Noted that it's conditional and by nature of being on the agenda, assume that it's met all statutory requirements. Is that still correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this one? Thought I'd be looking for a motion. All right, moved by Commissioner Orton. Would anyone like to second that motion that Commissioner Orton's made? Seconded by Commissioner Terrazon. Thank you. Is there any discussion to that motion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. And I know that it feels like we're moving fast, and we are, but like I said, we have had time to review these. And now we're just taking the moment to ask any questions that we need to. Next on the list, Dan, on-premise beer recreational applicant. We have one, the Blues at the Depot in Salt Lake City. It looks like this is not conditional, and by nature of being on the agenda, that all statutory requirements have been met. Is that correct?
Yes, good afternoon, or good morning, Commissioners. That is correct. This will be a venue for live entertainment. It does meet statutory requirements. There's some additional information I do need to provide, though. This is going to be a dual license premise. It currently operates with a bar license on the third floor of the premise. The applicant is requesting a beer recreational license to operate on the first and second floor of the premise for the all ages events. It should also be noticed that there's only one set of restrooms on the premise, which is located on the third floor of the top of the stairs, where both the beer recreational and the bar license patrons will be using. The applicant is here today to answer any questions you may have.
Can we have the applicant? Actually, I have a question. I'm not sure if other commissioners do. Can we have the applicant come up?
Good morning,
Hi, could you
Commissioners. I think
please-
it's still morning.
Great. Yeah, I know, right? Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Karen Kendrick. I'm with York Cal. This is Hayden Goebel, my colleague with York Cal. And more importantly, we have Troy Stubbs, who is the general manager of Blues at the Depots, who is here to answer any questions relating to ensuring compliance and any concerns you might have about control issues.
So I'm going to ask this question, recognizing we are getting short on time, but I think in doing our due diligence on this, there are minors that attend these events. And so we're talking about a beer rec where minors are in attendance. I just need to know what you're doing to make sure that those minors don't have access to alcohol.
Actually, quite a few things. We have been in business since 2005. We started in about 2006 doing all ages concerts. Up till pre-pandemic, we were about 50-50%. So our club license or private license sits on the mezzanine. We have at least 2 to 3 security that stand there at all time, allowing nothing in, nothing out. Now that we have post-pandemic and all the artists have spent time with their family, they want their families to come to these events. So we're doing more and more all ages shows, but it doesn't allow those patrons that want to partake as well. So all of my security, which on an all ages show is a minimum of 18 security in the building, are trained and certified by us to look for that. I personally am a TIPS certified trainer. So we train all our security, all our bar staff to do that. We're very, very hyper vigilant about who's getting that. The next thing that we do is when we ID, we're using a 2 system. as our compliance officer asked us to in the past, with a wristband and a stamp, so that if one is missing, we take whatever's in their hand out of their hand. At all checkpoints, I have somebody standing watching over, because not only is it a state law, but we want people to come and have a good time and leave having a good time.
Perfect. Thank you. That I needed to hear that again. This is a little different than some of the other ones that we do, and being familiar with your venue. Hearing the piece about the wristband and the stamp and then the checkpoints is really critical for me to hear. Are there any questions of the commission?
The bathrooms. It's an issue for me. I just, I was telling Mike, or actually it was Mike, I was thinking, wait, maybe it was Dan, it was Mike. Yesterday that I'm kind of in this sweet spot where I have children who are young adults, just of drinking age. And I also am friends with parents with underage children. And so I hear everything. And being able to take beer for someone, with a wristband and a hand stamp, to be able to take a beer in and share it with their underage friends in the bathroom. So simple. And what is the capacity on your floor, on the floor where the concerts are?
So my total concert capacity is 1,200.
Yeah.
On the main floor, I'm at 900.
Yeah, we were all young, some
Absolutely.
of us more recently than others, but we've all been there. And I'm very concerned about the fact that I know what's going on. I know I hear the horror stories, and I am very concerned about not having a beer garden in a space where you have 18 security guards watching 900 people in a dark room with strobe lights and everything else. And the ability for young adults who legally are holding a beer to take it into the bathroom and share it with their friends.
To that end, if the bathroom is a non-stopper for the commission, I'm more than happy. So up on the 3rd, if you've been into my building, you get off the elevator, you come up the stairs. If you go to the left, that's where all my security is for the entrance into the actual bar area. That actually almost goes to the area where the bathrooms are. And I'm more than happy to set a post there with a table that people can leave their drinks and not enter into the bathroom. My purpose.
That becomes a safety issue too, because of people slipping things into people's drinks and.
But what I'm saying is that I'm definitely able to take that portion off of the beer rec if that's what the commission decides. More than happy to keep that onto the lower floor. I also have security posted right by the stairs at that point as well. So understandably, if you're in a place where we don't want security in our bathrooms, understandably, and I don't want them there as well, to restrict the alcohol getting to someone else is much more of an important thing to me
Thank you.
than.
So thank you. We appreciate it.
safety that
Yeah,
I'm-
we appreciate, thank you.
But it's the
Commissioner-
safety and the enjoyment of the community in the building as well.
Commissioner Orton, are you leaning towards making a motion with that additional piece in there? Where you'd restrict the?
I would very much appreciate drinks being restricted from being able to go into the bathroom. I don't like the idea of a drop table, but I do think that it would be helpful for them not to be able to take drinks in. I still have a concern about no beer garden.
Commissioners.
Yeah.
Just a quick one. The application was for the first and the second floor, not the third. The third is where the restrooms are located. So the beer rec would be on the first and the second.
Okay, so this addresses this issue then? And
Yes.
So
we're-
they
I'd be
wouldn't
looking
be,
for a motion to approve, potentially.
but wait, so adults wouldn't be able to go up to the
So beer wouldn't be able to go up to the bathrooms.
Beverage would not be able to go up.
Even though it's a bar on the third floor, right?
Yes,
Beverage
it's
just
separate and
cannot come
apart.
Out of the bar to the bathroom.
Okay.
Separate and apart.
So that takes care of that. I still feel strong. I still feel strongly about a beer garden on the main floor where the concert is as well. Just for all ages, not for all concerts, just for the all ages concerts.
And a 21 plus, we actually get an extension approval, so the whole building becomes right.
Right.
My concern for a beer garden in our space specifically is the safety of patrons trying to get in and out of the building, and where we would position that safely for the patrons. Whereas I can always add extra security that can be a part of what's going on. On most concerts, I have 3 to 4 security at the front of the stage and roamers going through that all the time. Nothing's perfect, but the safety of the patrons is my concern on that side.
Could I make 2 motions? Could I make a first motion that we require that the beer not be allowed in the restrooms? So we don't need that motion.
Part
So
of the
the
license
okay,
premise.
so
you
the
don't
only
need that.
motion that I would like to make is that we require a beer garden to be set up, working with staff to figure out the logistics of it for all age concerts.
Can I ask a question on that one? Does it have to be a set space every single time, or can it vary based on the concert, as long as it's confined?
Jeremy?
I'm actually, Commissioner, I'm not sure that because it's not statutorily required, this is something you can mandate because the statute doesn't require that as part of the operational requirements to hold this type of license.
So
It's different than permits where you do have that authority.
Commissioner,
expressly.
if you feel strongly about that piece, we would just push it to next month and have the more of an in-depth analysis. So I think there's kind of 2 options here. We could just leave it until next month. If anyone else on the commission feels like they want to move to approve as is, we can also consider that motion.
That works for me.
Thanks, Commissioner. That's fair. Okay. I'm not hearing a motion.
Let me just say something. I mean, I don't think if you've met the statutory requirements, we've gone back and forth on this with a number of applicants. Also, the power of this commission is granted by the legislature, and we don't have any permissive authority to go outside of that authority that the legislature has given us. So I don't think we can ask you to do a beer garden. You could do one to be nice. I mean, we've asked other applicants to do that and they have agreed, but I don't think we can require it of you. And because you've met the statutory requirements, I would support approving this.
Are you making a motion to that effect?
Sure, I'll make a
right.
motion.
All right.
Thank you.
Moved by Commissioner Tui that we approve this application. It's seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Is there any discussion to the motion?
I'm going to vote against just because I do feel like if we aren't going to protect the safety of I feel like it becomes a liability issue for us. So I'll be voting against.
I don't want my motion this is not a safety issue. This is the ability of this commission to take an action based on our legislative authority. So that's all it is for me. It's not a safety thing.
Right, but we have the ability to make these decisions under temporary permits, right? But we don't have it. We don't have it under this particular license, which is why I am opposed. So
Totally fair. We're going to take a vote here, but I just want to make sure you're hearing this discussion and how seriously this commission takes making sure that we prevent underage service to minors. And we hear you, and we hear that you're committed. We really do. And we know you have a good track record. So with that, let's go ahead and vote on the motion that's before us. All in favor? Are there any opposed?
opposed.
Okay, we'll go ahead and rule that motion passes with 1 opposition. Thank you.
Apologize for having to leave. It's 2 months in a row, but I do have an airplane to catch. It's-
Commissioner, good luck. I hope that you have your walking shoes on and thank you. So we'll let the record show that Commissioner Jacobson is excused.
Going to Fort Wilderness.
Oh, enjoy. All right, excused before we consider the last couple of items on the agenda. So the final item on the agenda for action, Nicole, is a package agency applicant. It's a new applicant at the Market at Hyatt Regency Hotel in Salt Lake City. It's a type 1 package agency. My understanding is that statutory requirements are met on this. It's not, I don't know if we do conditional on package. Yeah, so
It's good.
okay, it's ready to go.
It's ready to go.
Okay.
It needs a final inspection and a business license, but it will be good.
Okay, thank you. I know that commissioners have had the time to review the information for this one. Are there any questions of Nicole? There's no questions. I would be looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve.
Move to approve by Commissioner Tui. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Orton. Is there any discussion to the motion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we'll rule that that motion carries. I've been conferring with Director Clayson here. We're going to keep the operations update very, very brief. We normally would have skipped it, but we actually do have 2 important items to address. And so I'll just turn the time over, Director.
Great. Tom, I would ask if you can begin. I'm going to cover one item. If you could go ahead and cue the the licensee inspections, those folks that passed. I do want to mention the first item is we have joining us now. Oh, you can go back. We've got Rob Hansen and Troy. Sorry, that was confusing, Tom. I thought we had the technical capacity to do both. You guys do a great job, but you're not magical. So let's just stick with the SBI inspections that have passed. As you know, that we mentioned in a couple of meetings ago that every month, you guys cover the violations, those folks that obviously have issues regarding violations as it relates to public safety and public health. It's also just as important to go over and recognize those folks that pass public safety SBI inspections. So for the month of August, we had 145 licensees that passed their investigations. They were found to follow the alcohol safety laws and prevent alcohol sales to minors. This is a list of those folks that we have as they're quickly scrolled through. Additionally, SBI officers visited state liquor stores. So those are our retail outlets where 2 DABS employees passed the inspections. I want to recognize them, Joe Ellen Walters and Arlene So. So we are appreciative not only of our retail employees, but our licensees who go above and beyond to commit and to deploy all of the rules and regulations related to public health and safety in this way. Next month, we will cover this again, and we'll try to tie it into the agenda right after violations. So covering violations and then covering, recognizing those folks who passed. Now, Tom, thank you, Tom and Matt. We have Rob Hansen and Troy Potter on the line. And while we're bringing their video up, as you know, compliance leadership has been working really hard to improve the efficiency both internally and externally. This includes looking at accounts and how we can better organize those accounts with compliance specialists to improve on travel efficiencies and whatnot. Between this and working to deploy the governor's Rural Matter initiative and hiring in rural Utah and workforce development there. We are so pleased that Troy Potter, Troy, could you raise your hand and just kind of give us a quick wave? Troy actually was our store manager in our Hurricane store for several years. So we know Troy really well. We're really excited that he has this opportunity to serve our licensee community, quite frankly, in a part of our state that is just growing by leaps and bounds. So we're excited to have him join our team. We're really excited about what that signals, though, is that we have a thriving licensee environment in the southwestern portion of our state, so much so that it warrants us bringing on someone who can dedicate their time, attention, and accessibility to those licensees that we serve. Troy, do you have just anything very quickly to add, knowing we're short on time?
Thank you, Director. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm looking forward to serving the Southern Utah community and working with my team in Salt Lake. So Thanks for having me and I'm looking forward to it.
And Rob, thank you for getting him good and trained.
All right, thank you.
Oh, well, with that, thank you. I wish that we could spend more time on these agenda items because they're actually quite important. But thank you so much. And we're really excited to have you part of the team and serving that in that very important role. Vicky, did we have any requests come in virtually for public comment? Okay, so no virtual requests. Is there anyone in the audience that would look to do public comment at this time? Okay. Well, with that, we've hit the end of our agenda. Thanks for sticking through it. We know it's been a long morning with the public hearing and then a pretty full agenda. I would be looking for a motion to adjourn if anyone is willing to make one. I know it's a hard one. Okay. Moved by Commissioner Orton. Is it seconded?
Second.
All right, seconded all around. All in favor? Are there any opposed?